It's not only just good tact to let them know that you are watching what's going on, that you want to monitor what's going on with their employment, but I think very, very important for them to know it. And not just from a moral standpoint, but because I think it motivates.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
Hey everybody, Dustin Harris hanging out in the podcast here. Thanks for joining me. I want to talk about a subject that comes up on a pretty frequent basis as I'm coaching, and specifically talking about delegation outside your normal office walls. I want to pause here, remind you that we, of course, are sponsored by ANOW software. Folks, ANOW is so cool. Seriously, it's so cool. I was in it today, just looking at the analytics. You can break it down so easily. I've got multiple appraisers in my office. I can see what kind of volume they're doing. I can see what kind of money they're making. I can see the average fee of each appraiser. It is so cool. Check them out. Go to anow.com, and you can find out more, anow.com. All right, folks, a question I get to when I'm talking about delegation, specifically when you have virtual offices. Now, a lot of us, of course, have gone virtual recently with COVID and some of the things that are going on in the world. It's become easier, if you will, to work from home. Almost any company, any client is going to understand that that's just kind of the way the world is. We, of course, at Appraisal Precision have been working from home for much longer. Now, I did have a brick and mortar at the beginning of the pandemic, but it wasn't very long. Just within a couple months, my lease was up and my employees were headed home. But even when I had a brick and mortar, I still had many people working from home. I've had virtual assistants working from overseas for a very long time, years and years. And the question comes up, well, Dustin, how do you know that they're really working, especially if they're being paid by the hour? Well, let's break that down first of all and talk about what that means, and talk about the different ways that you might be able to pay, the different ways that you might be able to set up in such a way that you can make sure that you trade their time for your money. And what I mean by that is employment, right? There are many ways to set up employment. There's many ways to look at how you structure it. And what I mean by that is, I sometimes get the question, well, Dustin, should I pay my employees hourly? Should I pay them salary? Should I pay them piecemeal, meaning I pay them for every report that they complete? There's a lot of different ways to do it. It really comes down to a couple of different things. First of all, trust, probably one of the most important things. Second of all, structure. How are you structured? How is your office set up? And third of all, how are they set up? What is common for this type of work? For example, it's very difficult to pay piecemeal for a customer service agent. I mean, what are you going to do? Pay per phone call? Pay for every email that they respond to? It's really difficult to do that. Now, don't get me wrong. You can do that and you can break it down, but it almost gets to the point that you are monitoring so many little things that it's impossible to get anything done and be productive. So not a suggestion I would make when it comes to a customer service agent. Now, could you pay piecemeal for someone who might set up your files for you, who might do the research, or might do a number of different tasks that are related to the appraisal process? Of course, there's lots of different things that can be done there. I've seen it many times, and I've seen many different structures. Again, not the topic of the conversation today, but I just want to make sure that we lay it out that there's many different ways to do things. The other one, of course, is salary. There are many people that want to set it up on a salary situation, and a salary situation is such that you've got a set of tasks, you've got a job to do, and you simply pay them regardless of the hours that they work. Now, be careful with this. Make sure that you understand your state laws. For example, many states require that if your salaried employees go over 40 hours, that they are entitled to overtime, and you need to be careful about keeping track, meaning salary is not an excuse for people working over 40 hours and not getting paid appropriately. But salary is more for people that you trust, more for people that you know are going to be working and don't need to be micromanaged. And honestly, those people are rare. I have one individual right now that works in my office that is salaried. Everyone else is on commission or hourly pay. And I think that's important to know. This individual that is on salary is my office manager. She's been with me many years. I trust her. She works her tail off and earns every penny that I pay her. Now, again, the question on the table is not how to structure this. The question is, how do you keep track? Dustin, if I'm going to pay somebody hourly, I want to make sure that they're not sitting on Facebook all day. How do I do that? Well, folks, if you're in a brick and mortar, it's very easy. right? You look over their shoulder. If you're sitting in an office, you turn around and look at their screen, or you're talking to them throughout the day, or you're walking in and out of the room, and you know whether or not they're working. But what do you do if those individuals work from home? What do you do if those individuals work overseas? How do you keep track? How do you monitor? How do you make sure that they're being honest in what they're reporting? I've got a great couple of ideas for you coming up, but first I want to tell you about another great idea. Of course, Now software is a great idea because it was hatched and still is run by appraisers. Marty Haldane is an appraiser, and he came up with a system that allows appraisers to keep track of everything that they do and their business, their numbers. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business, Now allows you to be able to know everything about your business. Check them out. Just look at their website, folks. You'll be amazed at the things that they can do. ANOW.com. That's anow.com. Welcome back to the program, everybody. We're talking today about how do you monitor your employees. Now, before I dig into a couple of ideas for you, and by the way, I use both of these ideas, so I can testify that they do work if they're set up properly. Let's first deal with some philosophical ideas, some ethical ideas, some moral ideas, right? Is it your responsibility to make sure that your employees are working? Well, folks, let's just be blunt. If you're paying them by the hour to do work for you, I think it's your responsibility to know. It's your prerogative to know. It's their responsibility to report accurately and honestly. Otherwise, they're stealing. Yes, I know that's a bold statement, but folks, it's true. If they are taking your time, if they're sitting on Facebook or TikTok or YouTube or doing dishes or their laundry or going and running errands on your time, folks, there's no other way to put it. They are stealing from you. If you're paying them $15 an hour to enter information into a computer that will help you to do your job better and they're doing their laundry, folks, I don't know what else to call it. It's stealing. Now, I'm hoping that you have employees that can be trusted. I try to hire people that I can trust. But folks, I'm sorry. I'm of the old school. Trust but verify. That's the philosophy that I work under. I trust you. I wouldn't have hired you if I didn't trust you, and I wouldn't keep you on as long as I have if I don't trust you. But my gosh, I'm going to verify. I'm going to check. Because let's face it, individuals are more responsible when they know they're being checked up on. And that leads me to the two ideas I want to share with you about how to properly monitor your employees. Now, you need to understand a couple of things. There are ways to watch what they are doing on the computer, but you need to be careful with that. For example, you cannot put spyware on their home computer if they're working from home and see what they're doing on their computer. However, that will not and should not preclude you from being able to put it on your computer. Now, follow me. Well, Dustin, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you put it on your computer if they're working from home? Because, folks, all of my employees remote in, meaning they go through a VPN, they go through a tunnel, if you will, and they log into my server and they work on my server. And they have strict rules that say, please do not open a browser. Please do not go to Anow. Please do not do Datamaster. Please do not do Total. Please do not do any websites that are related to work unless you're on my server. Now, there's many reasons for that, but one of them is because I want to know what you are doing. Now, if you are going to monitor what's going on their computer, I highly recommend that you let them know. Now, state law, I don't know. Check your own state laws. I don't care. I don't care whether they ask you to or require you to or not. I would highly recommend that you do just because it's the right thing to do. And it gives you the benefit of them knowing that you are. Let me repeat that. It's not only just good tact to let them know that you are watching what's going on, that you want to monitor what's going on with their employment. But I think very, very important for them to know it. And not just from a moral standpoint, but because I think it motivates. If they know that you are watching their computer, I think they're going to be more efficient. I don't see how it could be any other way. Now, I'm not here to promote any one product over another. There's many, many programs which will monitor your computer and find out what's going on. I use one called ActiveTrack. It's not spelled the way that it should be spelled. I think it's ActiveTrack, maybe. ActiveTrack.com. Another one out there is Time Doctor. I know there's many, many, many others out there. I hate to throw out just a couple and not throw them all out, but again, not the purpose of the episode today, just to let you know that there is software out there that can track. Now, the software that I use gives a pretty good picture. It's a little complicated to learn. I actually went through a training with one of the employees at the company because I was confused. I was paying money for this. I would look at it and go, well, I don't really know what I'm seeing here. I need some help. And they took me through about a 30-minute training. And now I feel like I can monitor it pretty well. In fact, let me give you a true life example. I had my office manager reach out to me a couple days ago and she said, I'm worried about so-and-so. And I said, okay. And she said, can you tell me if so-and-so is working as much as so-and-so says that he or she is working? And I said, absolutely. weekly. And I logged in the next day and I started downloading data, and I noticed that this individual was working, about 5 hours a day and reporting about 8 hours a day. Now, folks, it's pretty cut and dry. It's pretty black and white. I can see what they're doing. There's screenshots taken every, 3 minutes or so. I can scroll through those for the day. I can see when they're active on their computer. I can see what they're doing. Now you have to be a little bit careful because, maybe, your employees might be on their smartphones doing work. You got to be careful about how you set it up. And please don't make accusations until you find out. In fact, I didn't with this individual. I reached out and I said, hey, I've been monitoring the computer. It's looking a little weird. Help me understand this. And I gave that person the benefit of the doubt. But the point is this, folks, I can know at the click of a button what is going on with my employees because they're logging into my computer. They know that I'm monitoring that computer, and I can spit out some data that's going to help me to know if they're working. Now, is it foolproof? No. Can you fake it? Probably. Are there ways to get around it? Sure. That leads me to my second and probably better suggestion, and that is productivity. Folks, if you're going to utilize the law of delegation, you have a responsibility to manage properly, and part of management is seeing what they're doing and knowing whether or not it's what they should be doing. I often coach individuals who say, I have an employee and Dustin, I honestly don't know if this person is doing as much as they should be. I'm paying them for 40 hours a week, but I really don't know if they're working that much. I think they are. I don't know if they should be faster, slower. I don't know. Well, folks, that's why we keep data, and that's why we understand. In my business, in my appraisal business, I keep track of numbers. And I do so not because I'm a numbers guy. I'm actually not. I can't even imagine being an accountant or somebody who has to deal with numbers all day long. But as a business owner, I truly do feel like I need to know what's going on, and that means data. And so if you were to ask how long it takes to research a property, I can tell you down to the minute on average how long it takes to research a property. How long does it take to enter a property from the MLS into the grid in total? I can tell you down to the minute, because by the way, it's about a minute, that it takes to take the data and download if I'm not utilizing Data Master, if I'm hand typing it in, how much time it would take. How much time does it take to sketch a property? Well, it depends on how complicated, right? But there is an average. I can tell you that to the minute, about 7 minutes it takes to sketch a property from the county data into total. I know the numbers. Therefore, if I'm watching the productivity, forget the screenshots and forget the monitoring software. I'm talking about simply looking at output. And often I will go to my employees, depending on who they are. I might have them do this all the time. But some of my employees, just occasionally, I'll say, hey, I'm just curious how long it's taking to do things. I just want to follow up, make sure that everything's going well. So this week or today or the next 3 days, whatever time limit you decide to put on it, will you keep track of everything you do every hour? So between 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock, I did these 3 tasks. Between 10 o'clock and 11 o'clock, I did these 6 tasks. You get the point. And I have them turn that in. Now, I can look and break that down and understand if they are meeting the averages, or if I need to, kind of kick them in the rear end a little bit, or maybe say, hey, you know what, you might want to slow down just a little bit. I'm seeing you're making some mistakes and you're probably going maybe a little too efficiently, right? Maybe you need to slow down just a little bit and have a little bit more quality there, right? But the point is you can monitor individuals remotely simply by what they are doing. Everything in my office is monitored. For example, every phone call we make is recorded. Well, Dustin, you can't do that state law. Well, guess what, folks? In the state of Idaho, it is a one-party consent law, meaning everybody that's on my phones understands that it is being recorded. We also let the other side know as well, just because we want to cross our T's and dot our I's. But all of the email going in and out of my office, I have opportunity to audit and to look at and understand. We have A-Now, which is a great tool for monitoring what's going on in the office. Folks, the bottom line is this. Monitor the output, monitor the efficiencies, monitor what's going on, and you may want to possibly use technology to help you monitor that as well. Folks, speaking of technology, about every other month, maybe every third month in my newsletter, I have a whole technology section. It's a product review, if you will. These are products that I have used or some of the All-Star team has used that can help you with your appraisal office. And we give you all the deets, right? We try it so you don't have to. And we tell you exactly if it's good, if it's bad, how to use it, how to be efficient. That's in our newsletter, and that's part of the All-Star team. If you're not part of the All-Star team, I highly recommend that you check us out. Go to theappraisercoach.com/memberships.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
The other one, of course, is salary. Salary looks like this. You have a set of tasks or a job that needs to be done, and you pay somebody a set fee, and they get it done. And you don't pay real close attention to the hours they work, though I would be careful there. Please make sure that you understand your local state labor laws, because most of them say even on salary. Oh, dog, you're so fun. My dog just decided to shake. Sorry about that. Back into it, editor, 3, 2, 1.